My people, na good evening, na good afternoon, na good morning as it be. Welcome to IT Pidgin English again. This one our Ogbonge channel for everybody we want learn IT for our language. Now for mama, papa, brother, sister, children. Now we make this channel for so that me everybody for learn computer for our language. My people, today so na module 3 we will talk about things wey dey inside computer. Na CPU na we wan talk about today. Make una no worry at all. We go soon know wetin this CPU mean and wetin e dey do. My brother, last module, my brother talk about wetin dey outside and inside CPU, the holes wey dey outside. He open am up, he can look motherboard, can talk about things wey dey motherboard. Today we dey look CPU wey be say e still dey on top motherboard. So today we go look wetin be CPU. We go look CPU speed and the cores wey dey CPU. Today we go look CPU cache. That one na CPU storehouse. We go look. Also we go look CPU socket. Wey be say as CPU take sit down gidigba for on top motherboard. We go also look say how you go fit take put the CPU. We go describe how we go take get the better CPU wey go enter our computer. And today, now all these things we go look. Oh, una welcome, make una listen well, oh, my people. So we go start with wetin be CPU. So the full meaning of CPU na central processing unit, my people. Central. This one, wetin e mean? Me say, man, this one na the brain and powerhouse of computer. And be central processing unit. Sometimes people they call am processor, but the full meaning are central processing unit. It means say this one are the obonge, the brain, the coconut, and the powerhouse of the computer. This CPU so now they control the computer system or everything wey dey inside. Anything you want ask computer to do must pass through CPU before you will see am for your monitor. As we know now two kind of CPU now they very popular. One of them na Intel and the other one are AMD. These are two big company where they make CPU where we know today, and most of these one will be Intel and ADM. Now they most of the computers where they see today where we they use. This CPU so where we they talk about they get different speed, they get different power. And we could talk about different speed and different power where they get. They just be like car, better engine, now better speed and better power. This CPU, so it is very small and it sit down on top motherboard. I will show now the picture now how it be. As I talked before, it's small, it's not big, it's not grab, but it is very powerful. Now it be the coconut of computer. Now they run things. So now the picture be this. So as you see, it not too big. It just sit down, check it right there. They call them CPU chips. It's small, rich like that. Now they give them chips. Say now so it is small. So now one of the now they see so now so the CPU be now so they run things for the computer. So where is sit down for motherboard now at the show now for this photo so now see where I circle so now their CPUs they sit down or if you sit down for different motherboard different way but now so you just stay they sit down for your own corner they run things they help other things with inside computer they do their own job so and then they control them. So my people now so they sit down for motherboard. So now we will come enter CPU speed and cores. So this CPU speed so what they talk about now the way CPU they make things happen from when you press your keyboard to when things show for monitor. Now that one now we they talk say CPU speed. So when you if CPU get better speed, as soon as you knock something for your keyboard, it don't show for your monitor be that oh. So and also now different speed CPU get. They work like clock. So some fast pass the other ones. Just like cars, I said, as I dey tell you now before, different engine, better engine, it they move. And so the CPU, now it be now the brain so of the computer. The speed of the CPU, some they do one thing that once you send out one message, you go do one message. But the news ones where they see so where they come and get better speed and they fit do many things at the same time. So, and this new fast CPU will get where they fit do different things at the same time. The way they do different things at the same time, we they call that power core. And the one we get better speed and more cores, they fit do plenty things at the same time. So this core waiting they be. So now waiting we want tell you now so. So these cores, what would they talk about? So they be like workers for building site. So if you get more workers for building site, now fast work that they do a bit, that they carry plenty block at the same time. Now so this core be for CPU. So if CPU get more cores, now be say it get more workers. So now the matter be that and they fit do more things. So some CPU where we know now be say some of them get dual core. Now be say they get two workers. So they fit do two things at the same time. Others get quad core. Now be say they get like four workers. More and more now so that they fit do things. So the one way popular way we know now the Intel where they make CPU and they name their own like Intel Core i3, i5, i7. So now the more work now these ones they do as they move from 3, 5, and 7 more workers. So my people, I hope soon they enjoy this story where they tell you about CPU. So make I just remind you say CPU na central processing unit to now it be the brain and powerhouse of computer. Now it be the coconut of computer. Now in the run things, anything where you want computer to do it go run am through CPU. CPU go fire am up. You go see am for your monitor and at different speed. Na in dey. And also different CPU na in see dey wey dey do plenty things at the same time. So we go move to the next topic now, wey be CPU cache. So as I talked before, wetin be CPU cache? My people, no be big thing. This now where CPU they put things where you they ask computer to do many times. This now like CPU store room. So as you dey tell CPU say do ABCD every time, he don't know say this my oga wey dey tell me to do this thing, so he dey always ask me do ABCD all the time. So CPU can arrange one storeroom. Now they call cache. So instead of CPU to go dey meet RAM every time you ask am ABCD to go dey waka all the distance to go dey ask for this thing, he can get one small room where they call cache. He can put these things there so that he know say man, as soon as oga ask for this thing, you go in one small room, fire RAM, give you, so you no go need to waka far. Better example be say if you be regular for your bar, the barman don't know you say if this oga come, he get a regular drink. So instead of am to come meet you say oga wetin you wan drink, he know he go you bring your regular make you take start before you get other things wey you need. Na so cache be for CPU. And this cache so it dey make this CPU cache so they make computer fast because sharply e know wetin you ask and e no go far to go get am. E go quickly bring am. Na im wetin be CPU cache be. CPU cache get different level or small storeroom as we go talk am. So you fit get some CPU fit get level 1, level 2, level 3. Na im be say na one storeroom they get, 2 storerooms or 3 storerooms. Na im be this cache. I hope una understand this cache matter. So na small storeroom for CPU where they keep things where you need all the time. So the next one is say we go move onto socket. You know, say we talked before, say this CPU now motherboard is sit down. Kidigba. It is sit down for this motherboard. Now this socket, now it arrange himself for there. So this socket now very small pins na dem be, now the CPU take dey sit down for the motherboard. So I would like make una understand say no be all CPU fit enter any computer. So the CPU and the motherboard get to agree, get to be the same kind. So you no go fit just go buy any CPU anywhere, go put for your computer. Now different socket na this CPU get, and we'll show now photo of one of them. Intel and AMD will be the two gidigba company where they make this CPU. Them CPU they get different pins, so you no go fit mix and match. So I beg make una see CPU socket who they talk about since. So now one of them be this, as una see am as e fine, so now small pin they they very small. You need to be careful to handle these things. This one will not see for picture, so now the land grade array socket. The pins they arrange and we in our brain, so they make them very fine. So the next thing we will look be say now how they put this socket for the computer. My people, before you go think say you want put CPU for your motherboard, I beg check say na the correct one you want put to check if na the correct one, you will need to look the company will make your laptop or your desktop. Look the name, if na Dell, if na Lenovo, if na HP, look am well so that you will check which kind CPU fit enter your own laptop or desktop. As we talked before, you no go fit just go buy Mercedes-Benz engine make you put for Honda. E dey hard. Na so CPU be. You will need to get the correct one. And when you don't buy the correct one, I beg my people, paper they follow am come. Make you look am well. They go draw photo put, they go write things put, so that make you look am how you go fit take put am for your computer, make it for work proper. For this model, so to put this CPU for your computer, it dey easy well. One person don't show you to put am, e no dey hard, not be big thing. Nothing will not fit do for Naija. Now to just show person, na e go do am. So my people, make una subscribe to our channel. And as una dey subscribe, we will contact una to help and show una how to do am for the first time, so that you fit do am yourself, you fit help your brother do am, you fit help your sister do am. So my people, make una subscribe. The installation of CPU is no hard. So my people, as we don't talk, this CPU na the brain of computer, na different type dey, and it get the way they work where we don't talk about. So una, thank you. We will put more video for here, including the installation of the how to put the CPU for motherboard. Make una share this video for free to everybody. Make people for still grow for this computer matter. Now good thing to know, and our language you content the do am first time in history. Make people know, make people learn, make they sabi this matter. My people, una do well.